Hi, this is Emil Van Essen, the hedge fund guru. And today I'm going to talk more about the war in Iran and get into a little more detail about the agreement and the chances for a settlement. This is obviously critical to our narrative for trading any asset class, including crude, equities, bonds, everything. So we need to assess this and we need to figure out what are the probabilities of a quick agreement and what are the probabilities that it's going to drag on for quite a while. Now, I think the number one question is, are the Iranians bargaining in good faith? And I think the answer probably is no. I give about a 40 to 50% chance that they are not bargaining in good faith. Why? I think they want to get a certain result out of this. No sanctions, be free to trade oil, get the money that's being held back in their pockets, and not be under the threat of attack, and have the Lebanon problem solved. These are all the things on their agenda, and I don't think they're going to get a settlement to their satisfaction under the current situation. So they need more pressure on the U.S. to be able to solve this problem, and that's going to come from oil prices. I think in a couple of months, the United States is going to be desperate for a solution, and they're probably going to give Iran pretty much what it wants. And the Iranians know this, and the Americans know this. So it behooves the Iranians to slow play this to any extent, and just let it drag on as much as they can. And even if they sign an MOU, it doesn't mean they're operating in good faith, because they likely know that if Israel's included in the MOU, then Israel is probably going to breach the agreement quickly. It gives Iran enough time to get its full tankers out of the Gulf, do ship-to-ship transfers, bring the empty tankers back in, and by then they'll be shooting in Lebanon again, and they will shut the straits and go back to their original plan. So I wouldn't let an MOU necessarily define that this thing is really settled. You need to see a real concrete settlement for that. Now, a lot of people are thinking, well, why not just finish the job? Why not just go and attack Iran, attack the straits, clear the straits using military force, and take out a lot of their military infrastructure, essentially finish the job? I think this is not possible or not likely, as even the first 2 weeks of the war, the U.S. blew through 50% of their inventory of interceptor missiles, of Patriots and THAAD missiles. These things are very expensive. There's a long lead time to restock the inventory, and these inventories are getting very low. Every tit for tat with Iran, like 2 days ago, the U.S. hit a couple of sites. They hit the Kuwaiti airport and also Bahrain. And in doing so, the U.S. burned through more of its inventory of missiles. This is unsustainable for the United States. So they can't really very easily go back to war. They're kind of at, in a very difficult spot. They've kind of lost, and they know it, and the Iranians know it. And what's going to happen is the Iranians are going to drag this out as long as they can until the U.S. is under extreme pressure, and then they're going to get what they want. So based on this, if I think there's a 40 to 50% chance that they're not negotiating in good faith, and in the chances that they are, 50 to 60%, that there's only probably a 50% chance in that case that they'll actually get to an agreement in the near term. So probably odds are that this thing's going to go on for a while. And in that case, that's where we move to our narrative. Okay, if that happens, we hit tank bottoms. When I say tank bottoms in crude, what I mean is that drawing inventory is no longer viable, and the only option is higher prices and demand destruction. And that's where we get to 150, 170 or higher crude oil prices. So that's the assessment of the war situation, which leads us to the first step of our narrative, which is being long crude. Thank you, and Please like and subscribe, and remember, never skip a meal.